Feature films are not just made by the big boys with the big bucks. Michael Andres, a teacher in Santa Clara County, has made an independent 35mm feature film running 1 hour 23 minutes. Apart from the fact that Michael is a part of our community and the film was made locally, what's different about this film is that it was made by Michael and former students and offers an important message. Michael is a teacher wanting to make a difference to benefit troubled teens. I'm thrilled that Michael has allowed me to share in his accomplishment.
Is that guy all right?
I don't know. Do you want to go and check it out?
I don't want to, but I should.
My guest graduated cum laude from the University of California in Los Angeles at age 21. He majored in British literature and interned as a script analyst for Hollywood legend Robert Marcuse. As part of our community, he teaches film theory and film production for the Santa Clara County Regional Occupational Program and has been teaching English literature in the San Jose Unified School District since 1994. I'm Val Jeffrey, and I welcome Michael Andres.
Thank you, Valerie. Nice to be here.
Congratulations on finishing the film.
Thank you.
And before we start talking about the film, let's talk about the film theory and production that you're doing with the school children. Tell me about that.
Each program is 1 year, and we try to ensure that students have studied film theory before they start producing, because I have a concern that with all the technology available to kids, they do a lot of shooting, but it's not necessarily a substantial use of the technology that's available to them, because they haven't studied some of the theory, and they don't necessarily have to agree with the theory, but I need them to consider it and to have digested that before using all that technology.
But they get to work on real films too. So what are you working on right now?
Right now at school, in terms of the school project, the students are doing post-production on Macbeth. So I paraphrased Shakespeare, which took about 6 months. And then we shot Macbeth in its entirety last year.
Is this a dagger that I see before me?
Every line, every scene. And then this year, we're almost done with the first semester, and they post-produce most of it. So they've done the sound for it, they've done Foley, they've done ADR, and they have done music. So we should be done by the end of the semester so that I can start paraphrasing Antigone, which is what I'd like to have next year's batch of kids produce.
How old are the kids?
Anywhere from 15 to 18, maybe 19.
How does taking a film class help them in real life?
You know, just studying film will have them have a sense of public presentation, organization, just general composition, either objective art composition or even self-composition for the public.
In 2002, you made a 35-minute short film, which was shown at the San Jose Film Festival, and that was actually the first part of Father, Son, Holy Ghost, the one that's just been presented, right?
This is the moment for you
when
to hear
one of
what
my
you've been saying.
students, Max Nees, directed Kids School, which I wrote and produced for him,
Today, class,
it was a
we are
short
gonna learn
film.
how to snowboard.
And a short film is like
Snowboarding is a
a
very
calling
valuable way
card
of having fun.
for usually a
Quiet,
bigger
Mr.
production
Travail.
company to consider
Do not
hiring a
interrupt the
director.
class.
But a short film
Now,
is a
as I
calling
was
card.
saying,
It's It's just showing style or showing content to someone, but it's not a complete entity in terms of a product.
Even have fun while doing it.
And we were just doing
Gliding
that.
over the ice is a very
But we had
important
such a
ability
good
to
response
have.
at
Don't you agree, Mr. Travail?
San Jose International Film Festival,
You are here to
Cinequest,
learn. Now here are the basics.
also at
Are you paying
Cleveland
attention?
International. It's one of the oldest festivals in the country.
That is not the proper
That
attitude, Mr.
we thought
Travail.
that instead of
You know, I think I know what the
starting a
problem
next
is.
film from scratch,
The
it'd be
problem is your
worth
priorities. You don't have them
exploring the
straight.
rest of the story.
Father, Son, Holy Ghost started in the desert.
Right.
And it's meant to be on the Mexican border,
Right.
according to the story.
Right.
Is that where you shot it?
We shot it in Southern California, but you know we didn't go down to San Ysidro or right down to the border.
How did you find the place?
You know, we just needed to find the best desert land we could, and we never really made it into the desert, but we found really good prairie lands. So John Harris, who owns Harris Ranch, gave us his land between Harris Ranch and the coast, which is just really brutal prairie land. It's not desert land, but it's really brutal prairie land for cattle. And we went out there in the middle of that land with no restroom and no electricity and no water and shot there. So it was very much like, if I can say that without sounding pretentious, it was like shooting in a desert because it was completely barren.
It felt
And-
hot looking at it.
Yeah, well, one of our production assistants even practically passed out just digging the grave in that scene for the character in that sun, and there's a lot of clay in that dirt, so it was pretty brutal.
James Rodriguez was the adult Joe, and he actually played a cancer victim. And that played out in real life. When did you find out that he was dying of cancer?
You know, we actually never knew when we had to do some redubs, some ADR on his voice. He was coughing a lot, and he played it off as a cough. And that was the last time I ever saw him. That was a month after we were done doing the first cut of the movie, which was, my goodness, 3 years ago. So we finished shooting the movie. A month later, he did some, revocalization on the movie, and he was coughing, said he had a cold, and then that was the last time I ever saw him. So it was never announced.
You've dedicated the film to him.
We dedicate the film to him. He is the lead in the movie, and his wife enjoyed the movie, and I think that, I talked to her, and I feel comfortable saying that I think that he'd be satisfied with his opportunity. The venue of the movie is to show him off as a lead actor in a legitimate SAG union movie. And she's happy with it, and the family's happy with it. So, and as for film, there are a lot of very strange coincidences on film, and a lot of filmmakers have a lot of very, very quirky stories about how this thing in the movie was like this thing in real life, and it's very interesting, and it's awful when it's something sad. But in terms of a good note, his family likes the movie. He's a lead in the movie. It comes across. Everyone loves his acting, and he has a chance to show himself in the movie, and that means something to actors, to have a chance to show their skill and to have film be a monument to their artistic talent.
Well, I want to thank you, and I want to tell you how honored I was that you invited me up to San Francisco to see what we thought was going to be the final cut, and actually was the final cut of the movie.
My pleasure.
Why San Francisco?
There is pretty much one film development lab left in San Francisco or Northern California. And there's one Dolby Laboratories in San Francisco. There's not a lot of film outside of Los Angeles or New York since, in the recession of the last couple years, cities define themselves, instead of generally, cities have defined themselves as having one specialty. San Francisco is not the film place, and that LA and New York have claimed that, but there are places which have survived. Monaco Labs is a place which has survived, so we don't have to outsource our film and send it down to Los Angeles to get something done. we can do something right in Northern California, the same way that we shot this whole movie in Northern California, with the exception of the desert scene.
You introduced me to Jim Moy and
Right.
Michael Hinton.
Right.
They both worked on the movie.
Right.
And then the four of us went to watch the movie at Dolby Theatre.
Right.
Why did we watch it there?
You know, Dolby Theatre is the standard for sound in the world in film. And there are many varieties of, you know, Dolby and digital sound, but, you know, Dolby's the original, Dolby's the standard. When we watched the movie at Dolby Lab, we had a chance to hear the movie ideally, under ideal situations. So we might see it at one theater and it might be very bassy as it was when we watched it locally. But Dolby Labs is the way it's supposed to sound, and the fact that it sounded right and balanced there was a real compliment to the movie, especially since a former student of mine did the sound editing on the movie with no surround sound, with just the two speakers on his antiquated eMac and his headphones. And the fact that the sound was that balanced actually impressed Dolby Labs, and that's a compliment which should be, you know, eternally with them. And the only thing I noticed at Dolby, which I haven't noticed anyplace, I did notice that the volume at the beginning of the movie and the end was probably just a little bit higher. But I didn't notice that at any other theater, only at Dolby. But I know that I heard it as it was supposed to be heard when we were at Dolby.
Well, it was absolutely wonderful seeing it in there.
I'm glad you
really was.
could join.
Now, your wife Linda has supported you all the way through this, and it's gone on for many years, and she kept saying, is it come, is it ready yet, is it ready yet? And you kept saying, I'll bring it home this time.
Right. She's heard that so many times. Oh my God.
Yeah, but it's as done as you say it is.
Done like dinner.
Yeah, really, I agree with you, but oh my gosh, no way.
She just wasn't up for it.
No way. No,
But
she
she's
said, I
not-
want to see in the theater with everybody else.
Yeah.
No.
She doesn't seem like the type, though, to say, you know, you should change this or that at this point, anyway.
Yeah, she
probably
just
had-
doesn't want to see it until it's not even the 3 Dolby logos. She just wants the whole, so.
Okay.
One Dolby logo.
Okay. So what do you think?
So let's see the expression on the face, whether she really believes a movie can actually be done within 7 years.
Wait, I thought you had to leave them.
You didn't think I'd be done.
No.
You see a camera?
After
She didn't think
all
it'd be
this
done.
time.
So what do you think?
Wow.
Done. That's my Mookie.
Wow.
You gonna build a damn movie?
That's right.
Wanna help
You
you?
can't take a whole girl.
Wanna help you build my movie?
Even the dog doesn't believe it.
Help! Help!
Yeah,
let me
really.
What do you
out.
think, Linda?
Oh,
I think it's
I'll help you,
fantastic.
Curry.
It's been a long time. Congratulations.
Now you got it on film.
I got it right here.
Oh, he's taking care of it for you. Well done, Adrian.
Thank you. Thank you. Come on in.
So what do you think of Daddy's film?
You like movies, Adrian?
Yes, I like these movies.
Did you actually think we were going to take it home this time?
You know, I thought we were, and we did, but you know, the whole art thing is very much a, you know, boy who cried wolf story, and an artist always has to believe that the last time is going to be the time, the same way an athlete would. But when that time actually is the time, one never knows. I was confident, but I've been very confident in the past too. So it's, you know, the thing about art is it's not done until it's done, and that happened to be the day, and you happened to be there, and it worked out very well. But I have said that before.
Well, I was also at the first public showing of the movie. Travis Braz was on camera, and John DeWitt was getting all the releases for us. 2 of your film students were the ones that helped with that segment. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Michael Hinton from Interformat San Francisco. We're at Moviemaker Labs. And we basically put the last year and a half or so in on Michael's movie. We did optical effects, we did some digital effects, we went through digital intermediate on some scenes. We corrected some sync issues. We imported part of the film into Final Cut and kind of tweaked it up. We did graphics, we designed the DVD cover, we were involved in giving Michael inspiration and kind of helping him move along.
When we saw Kids School, I thought it would make a real difference in the way that the school system was run, and that children would be acknowledged as individuals and not just as one lump sum, this is the way we teach. We were looking for individuality in communicating with children from teacher to children. And I remember when I was in school, there was no individuality.
Yeah. So it was the moral of the story that made you want to be part of it. So have you seen any of Father, Son, Holy Ghost up till now? Not at all. What are you expecting? What's your expectation?
With Mike, I expect it to be intelligent.
Yes.
Now, I'm not really sure where to go from there. Like, I hope it's an art-based film. So maybe like the Fellini style. Not sure, but that's what I'm hoping.
So why did you come today?
Support the arts.
Well, I'm very excited to see it. I've worked with Michael Andres for 10 years now, and I'm really fascinated to see what he does in the off time. It's really exciting to work with a filmmaker and to have the opportunity to see this project that he and students that I've known for years have worked and put together. And quite honestly, I'm very curious to see how the whole thing comes together.
So when you watched Kids School,
yes,
you were emotional about it too?
Yes, I really was.
Because of the moral of the story?
No, because I was a special education teacher, and I was the one that got the students after they had not been really treated well or appropriately in the regular mainstream classes.
Yes.
And so I cried because this was exactly what, I mean, it was not just like close, it was exactly like the story of many of the kids in my classes. And it was heartbreaking to me, actually. And I was really sorry that more wasn't done with it, because I think that administrators really need to get a very a visceral feeling, which is what the movie did for me. It was a very visceral experience as to what these kids are actually facing, and they're so unaware of the impact of the their role as a leader in the school systems. This was a very big deal to me.
So did you see it that Michael was doing a good service by doing that film?
Oh, I thought it was more than a public service. I thought it should be mandatory for principals and for deans, you know, dean of women, dean of men, and so on in high schools. I really, I can't tell you how it was not just moving, but how important it is to understand that you've got to look at a student not just as their behavior is within your school, but actually what's going on around the student, so that you can be of some value.
Hey Mike, congratulations. The film looked great, and very pleased with it.
Audience,
thank you very
much. Great response. I mean, it was a mixed audience. The people there were, you know, from all aspects, and it rocked.
What do you think of the movie?
I thought it was great. It was, you know, besides for being able to see San Jose locations, which is always fun, it was a well done story about how relationships between fathers and sons are, I think, always in process and always changing, and there's always hope to make a reconciliation, no matter how bad it is.
It was the one scene that really touched you?
I think the very last one, when he saw his grandson for the first time, you know, and then of course finding out that the actor himself really was dying of cancer is pretty powerful.
I thought the film was just great. I love the different vignettes and how we had to piece it all together. I thought it was so introspective. I really liked the way it portrayed school administrators and how they really have to take the time to listen to their students, just really take the time to hear what the kids have to say, to listen, and just to really be there and be present for students.
So what did you think about Aaron and Gage?
I thought they did a great performance, and I thought that the basic rewrite and the new production was kind of moving.
Steve Polavecchio,
yes,
one of the lead actors in the film. You saw yourself up on that big screen.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think?
I was really proud of Mike, actually, because, you know, it was a long process for him. He had originally done a short film, and that's how I met Mike, because he had a short film screening in front of a feature film that I did that was at CineQuest, and he kept saying to me, "I'm sorry it's taken so long to get it done, I'm sorry." And I said, "You know, it's not a film, it's a life."
Travis is my son.
And how long has he been studying under Michael?
Probably 2 years.
What do you think of Michael as a teacher?
Oh, I think he's wonderful. He's giving them a lot of experience.
Good job, distraction. Hey, thanks, and thanks for all your patience on everything.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
What feedback did you get that day?
You know, that day I was so busy running around that most of the feedback I've been enjoying after the fact, seeing it on video. But we did have 4 students work on that film. Father, Son, Holy Ghost was edited by a former student. The kids' school section, a third of it, was directed by a former student. The sound design was done by a former student. And the music was done by a former student from the band Strata, which is a pretty well-known band for San Jose. So I was very happy about that. And then the 2 young men whom you mentioned are part of the batch of kids that worked on Macbeth last year, and they'll probably be working on my next movie. So when Layla Live or Die, the next movie is done 3 years from now. I say 3 years from now, we'll see. They probably will have worked on that, and we'll be talking about how those students have worked on a feature film.
Father, Son, Holy Ghost and Kids School, the portion of it, I think that my favorite scene, like I said, is the scene in the snow.
Still, even with Father, Son, Holy Ghost, still the snow.
Seeing all the rest, that's still the best bit for me.
And not the administrator.
I'm proud of it because that was the first time that we shot something with no bathroom, no electricity, no anything, and that was out in the snow. And then we tried to contrast it by doing it in the desert. But I'm very proud of the snow footage because that's one thing that an independent low-budget movie can do is go out to the snow without doing snow on a soundstage.
And Gwenia Lemos did a terrific job transitioning from the sweet, innocent Marcella to the not-so-nice character, too.
I think so. You know, in terms of film tradition, I guess America has film noir to boast of, so I guess there has to be some level of film noir in every American movie, even if it be a comedy. And she played the old film noir femme fatale who seems very innocent at first and does a transition. I think she did it. I think years of working on soap operas could really help that too. Soap operas are such good practice for an actress because they're all close-ups and they're all femme fatales, and you have the camera right there, and there's no faking it. Some great practice on soap operas.
She did a great job.
Well, I'm glad that she'll be on Law and Order in January. Every episode does a good break for her.
Go ahead, come on! Come on, I dare you to say it!
Just stop it, all right?
I like the way it flowed between the 2 characters. We'll have to let the audience see the movie and make a decision for itself.
Well, it certainly worked. I thought another scene that worked was in the restaurant with Joe and his father. And I noticed really the camera didn't move, but because there was a mirror behind, you found yourself watching Adrian talking, or looking at Adrian talking, I should say, and seeing the reflection of the father answering. And the scene went on for quite a long time without you changing the camera. Why did you do that?
There were a lot of things that came out, aesthetically, which were interesting, which were unintentional, but that scene was intended to be one shot for 6 minutes to see whether the actors could really do a scene with one camera for 6 minutes, let alone with one character having the camera and the other just being in a reflection. That was really a test of their acting, and they pulled it off.
You know, you're not going to understand until you are a father.
And another variable which the actors threw in the scene is that, the actor's eating salad in a 6-minute scene. So in addition to having one shot for 6 minutes, which is a lot of dialogue to memorize with one shot, and you can't mess it up for the other person because it's all a master shot, the guy has to risk having, salad in his teeth with the camera right on him. I mean, if he blows it on the salad, let alone, any other variable that's with food around in a restaurant in one shot. I think they did a great job.
Well, you did a great job too. You did a great job, and the fact that Jim Moy and Michael Hinton actually came to the screening in San Jose, and Michael came twice, is a testament to your work. It really is.
I appreciate it because the one type of person that never watches movie is a film person. They're so, like anything, so they get so inundated with what they do for a living. Why do they want to do it? So I was very proud that they would take the time. They were actually curious to see how it came out after all that work, and that they were satisfied with it. That made me feel good, and I was happy for that.
And your grandma was really, really proud of you. I got her to speak to her afterwards.
Well, I'm glad at 95 she can still go out to the old theater and watch it on the big screen, and and she seemed to have survived the dramaticness of the movie.
So I'm very, very proud of him. And that is, his mother would have been proud of him.
She made me laugh. She said she didn't care much for the swearing, but she thought the nude scene was very, very tactfully done.
I'm glad that we can satisfy grandmas too as much as possible in a contemporary movie.
What happens to the film now?
Now the film needs to get a sales agent and go to some film festivals and go off into the land of distribution, which will probably take several years before it comes right back to where it was last week at the theater, or on a DVD at the old movie store or on Netflix. So.
Well, I want to commend you on being a great teacher and a great movie maker. And I think what you do, one of the mothers summed it up when she says you teach them to think outside the box. And I think that is very special. And thank you for being my guest, Michael.
It's my pleasure. Well, thank you very, very much.
You all right, man?
What?
I said, are you all right? You're not broken down?
Not yet.
What do you mean? What are you doing out here?
This is where my mother's buried.
Oh my God.
This used to be a border trail. I'm sorry about that, man.
That's right. I'm not broken down yet.
Well, we're gonna go.
Good luck, senor.
The doctor said I have cancer. Too angry for too long? I don't know. I'm gonna shoot myself today. Well, we'll see what happens. Okay, Mama? See what happens.